Good afternoon. My name is Mary Taylor, and I'm the president of Pro-Life Utah, which is a fairly new organization. And I wanted to take just a minute to thank Gail, who has left us, and Mary Ann, because these ladies they have helped us so much get started with this. They have shared their wisdom and their experience, and just, I don't know where we would be without them. So thank you, Mary Ann, and I'll have to tell Gail thank you later. Last year was Pro-Life Utah's very first attempt at influencing pro-life bills. There's a lot of great pro-life legislation being enacted across the country, and we'd like to see that come to Utah. It's hard to choose our priorities because there are so many very important bills. But this year, Representative Stratton will sponsor a bill that was inspired by an amazing event that happened in 2006. Dr. Matthew Harrison had a patient come to him, and she was distraught and in tears because she had taken the first abortion pill. So a medically induced abortion consists of 2 pills taken about 48 hours apart. She had taken the first, but not the second. She was filled with regret and remorse. So she told him that she would do anything to save her baby. He thought about this for a while, and he knew that they used progesterone supplementation to prevent miscarriages. So he told this young woman that he didn't know if this would work, but he would give it a try. The treatment was successful, and a full-term, healthy baby boy was delivered some months later. Representative Stratton will introduce amendments to the informed consent laws that would require abortion clinics to inform women about this new procedure. The first pill in a medically induced abortion is called mifepristone, and that blocks the effects of progesterone, cutting off nutrients to the baby and basically starving the baby to death. The second pill is misoprostol, which then causes contractions and expels the dead baby. When a woman makes a decision to have an abortion, it is often under very stressful circumstances, and many will come to regret that. If that regret comes soon enough, now they may have another chance. I'd like to read a few excerpts from a story written by a young woman that has undergone this procedure. While at a Planned Parenthood clinic, she was handed the first pill and a glass of water. She said, "I stared at the pill in my hand and became overwhelmed with sadness and the feeling that I was making a terrible mistake. But yet again, the fear I had of being pregnant overcame all other emotions, and I took the pill. On the drive home, I was consumed with guilt and regret. I cried the whole way home. Ironically, it also poured rain the entire night. I felt like Jesus was crying for what I had done. I prayed for my baby's life harder than I had ever prayed for anything before. I felt my soul was crying and pleading with the Lord on behalf of my son's life." Fortunately, that story had a happy ending. After contacting the Abortion Pill Reversal Center, Emily later said, "Everything fell into place after that, and I remember hearing my son's heartbeat for the very first time." Later, she would give birth to a healthy 9.5-pound baby boy named Ezekiel, which means God strengthens. Sorry. You're fine. Dr. Delgado later became the director of the Abortion Pill Reversal website and the APR hotline. Now, if a woman regrets a decision after taking the first pill, she can call the APR hotline, and they'll put her in contact with a doctor in her area for this treatment. In order to make this as successful as possible, Utah desperately needs more doctors to provide this service. I'd like to ask your assistance in this. If by chance you're a medical provider, or if you know someone who might be willing to provide this service, we desperately need more providers in the state. There's actually a Utah woman that is undergoing the procedure right now, but due to privacy issues, we don't know a lot about this other than that she started the procedure last summer. So any doctor, certified midwife, physician's assistant, nurse practitioner, anybody who is able to prescribe progesterone would be able to be a provider for this service. They can sign up at abortionpillreversal.com, where there's a ton of information on the procedure, and their identity is kept completely confidential except for to women in their area who would need their service. So far, 300 babies have been saved by this treatment. Approximately 200 have been born, and another 100 appear to be doing well and are on track for delivery. The success rate is about 55%, and if it's not going to work, it's usually known within the first 2 weeks. This takes into account women who get started right away and women who get started up to maybe 3 days later. So potentially that 55% success rate could be more for women who start earlier. The baby's best chance of survival is the sooner the woman gets started, the better. In March of last year, the FDA approved the extended use of mifepristone from 49 days to 70 days into pregnancy. Based on 2015 statistics, that means that over 80% of all Utah abortions potentially could have been by medical induction. So this legislation could have a huge impact. You would think that this sounds simple enough and without much controversy. All we're asking is that this information be provided. But if you Google abortion pill reversal, you'll find all kinds of scare tactics that claim that the procedure is unscientific and unsafe. However, if you go to PubMed and look at the research, you'll find that progesterone has been used safely in pregnancy for over 40 years, and that there are multiple studies that show that a fetus exposed to mifepristone has no significant increased risk of deformities. They'll tell you that a certain percentage of these babies will survive the mifepristone anyways, even without the reversal treatment. But if you look at the research and you do the math, the reversal process is definitely saving babies. It does increase the odds that the baby will survive. And for a woman who would do anything to turn back the hands of time, even a remote chance is worth taking. The whole pro-life, pro-choice debate is so upside down and surreal sometimes. The argument against this bill from the other side would be that the procedure does not save enough of, it doesn't have a high enough success rate to save babies that they were trying to kill. Or that we might do damage to a baby that they were trying to kill. Or that a woman who has this infamous right to a choice should not have information with which to really make that choice. It's upside down and it's surreal. So I guarantee there will be controversy surrounding this bill. I hope that you'll watch for the bill and let your legislators know that you support it. Representative Christopherson will run a bill called the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act. This bill, do you want to stand up? This bill would ban abortions past 20 weeks based on a baby's capability to feel pain. This bill has passed in 16 other states and also by the federal House of Representatives, but of course Harry Reid blocked it when it got to the Senate. There is so much scientific evidence that an unborn baby, even earlier than this, has an ability to feel pain that it's really hard to understand where the opposition comes from. It seems so strange to me that we are always trying to prove when a baby feels pain or when does life begin. It seems that we should have a presumption of life and a presumption of pain capability, and that the burden of proof should be on those that would do harm to these babies. But that is the upside-down world that we live in. Again, it is so upside down and surreal. But the bright side is that the effort to ban abortion after 20 weeks has really picked up momentum. So when we talk about banning abortion past 20 weeks, what exactly are we talking about? This is a medically accurate model of a 20-week-old fetus. It's accurate in size, shape, and weight. So a baby at this stage of development would have fully formed fingerprints, tiny toenails. She's able to practice breathing and turn somersaults. She might get hiccups or make facial expressions, including smiles. All she needs is a little time to grow. So the bill will undoubtedly make it to the United States Supreme Court at some point. The National Right to Life believes that the bill can withstand a Supreme Court challenge. They believe that a 20-week ban based on pain capability does not overturn any law, and that the Supreme Court has a compelling interest in the unborn babies that has reached viability. Now the court would be asked if that compelling interest does not extend to a baby that's capable of experiencing pain. We hope that Utah will be on board with this very important and potentially historic effort. So I'm fairly confident about these two bills going forward, but after that it's been a bit of a moving target. Until Thursday, I thought that Representative Handy was going to run a bill called perinatal hospice that would require women to receive information about perinatal hospice before an abortion on an unborn child that has been diagnosed with a lethal fetal defect. Parents are not always informed about perinatal hospice options, and they're often pressured into abortion for a child that has deformities. This would make sure that parents know that they can choose hospice over abortion for a dying infant, that they can choose to give their baby love and comfort in whatever time they have, rather than ripping him unceremoniously from the womb and sending him out with the medical waste. You wouldn't think that this would be particularly controversial, but apparently it was. Representative Handy backed out of running the bill due to the backlash he received. His words to me were, "I just could not believe the vitriol and the clear viciousness that came at me." How crazy is that? That giving parents an opportunity to treat their unborn baby like a human being would cause an attack like that. I really do never get over how surreal and upside down this whole subject can be. So to say the least, I was very disappointed when Representative Handy backed out of running the bill, but he clearly had no idea what he was getting himself in for. Some of our other priorities would include the dismemberment bill that was introduced last year but never made it through the process. This would ban the ripping of arms and legs off of live babies in the womb. Surreal and upside down. This bill is going to be a hard fight. It targets the cheapest, easiest, and fastest way for an abortionist to kill a baby at this stage. It also targets second-term abortions, which account for a pretty big number. The abortion industry will fight this one tooth and nail. Another bill that I consider possibly one of the most important and impactful pieces of legislation we could enact would be the Humanity of the Unborn Child Act. This bill would require that high schools teach the development of the human fetus in the same way that it would be presented to an expectant mother. If a woman had a basic understanding of fetal development, she would be much less vulnerable to the abortion industry's deceitful tactics of half-truths and mistruths. It's very easy to abort a clump of cells. It's much more difficult to end the life of another human being. And of course, we'd love to see the heartbeat bill come to Utah. That would ban abortions past 6 weeks when the heartbeat could be detected. So as you can see, we have a lot of work to do. Keep a watch out for these bills. It is so important that we have the public contacting their legislators when these bills are up for a vote. Remember the backlash and the attacks that they will be enduring, and give them your support. I'd also like to take just a minute to invite you to Pro-Life Utah's 2017 March for Life and Diaper Drive on January 28th. You should have information on this in your packets. There's also information available on our Facebook page. We'll start, it's a peaceful, it's a peaceful and family-friendly march, and we have a lot of fun. We hope you'll come out. Rod Arquette will our MC. Dallin Vale Bales will perform, and we have great speakers. Diaper donations will go to the Pregnancy Resource Center. Thank you.